Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to episode 88 of the Sneider Cut. I am your sleepy host, Jeff Sneider, senior film reporter at Collider, and joining me today is my friend, John Rocha, friend of the show. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, my pleasure, man. I like 88. 1988, that's a good year. I like that year, so I'm happy to be on for the 88th episode, man.
Hell yeah.
How are you?
Good. Just like, I barely know what day it is. My brother's getting married next weekend, and so there's been a lot of prep, and I'm trying to clear assignments off my plate, and
right.
We're at that mode of the summer.
I like it. It's good to be working too.
And how are you besides putting up with the extreme heat in San Diego?
Yeah, I'm good. Just focusing more and more on the channel, doing more and more content. Now that things are starting to jump back up, man, more reviews are going to start popping up. And, I've been getting to screenings, going out to screenings again. So it's been nice. And it's certainly a whole different experience in San Diego than it is in LA. But it's not a bad thing. It's a very relaxed experience. And
is there a good community of critics down there?
Yeah, there is. There's a good community of critics, and I'm slowly getting to know them. And hopefully I'll get into the San Diego Film Critics Association. And if I can get into that, then I'll be hopefully getting to know more and more people. So, I'm in this for the long haul. I like it. And I've been very fortunate that people have helped me out, connecting me with publicists and whatever down here to make sure I get to screening still. And I still drive up occasionally to LA. I went up for the Fast 9 screening on June 1st, which was pretty awesome. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm happy for you. I'm glad everything's working out. I wanted you on today because it just seems like the dominant story of the week has been In the Heights.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch In the Heights. I did not have a chance this week. I started it, and then I got roped into a Schmodown study session by Roxy, and I have not found another 2.5 hour window for it, but I didn't want to just ignore it on this podcast. So, John, what did you think of In the Heights? You were a big fan, right?
Yeah, I loved it. I've seen it 3 times now, once in the theater, twice on HBO. Oh, actually, once on the theater, once on HBO Max, and once as a screener link that Warner Brothers sent me ahead of time. Very kind of them to do so. And I absolutely loved it. It's a fantastic, vibrant, fun film that also speaks very powerfully to the Latino experience, but also touches on the universal themes of following your dreams, the obstacles of following your dreams, how just because everyone loves you when you're so great coming out of high school, it doesn't mean that that's going to transfer to college, and what troubles you may encounter. Also, you're dealing with your community, leaving your community, re-embracing your community, and of course, all of it set to some fantastic music and some topical news items and political news items in the film as well. So I think it covers so many things within the 2 hour and 20-minute runtime that it's just a fantastic experience for sure.
Well, then let me ask you, as someone who's had that, 2 different experiences watching the movie, is there a difference between watching it on the big screen with an audience and watching it home alone? Because I do suspect that is one reason why I didn't watch it, because I didn't have anybody to watch it with.
Yeah.
Asking my dad's girlfriend, hey, is tonight the In the Heights night? And she was like, no, but I don't have anyone else who's going to sit there for 2.5 hours and watch a musical with me.
Well, it's an interesting situation. Yeah, I mean, I think it's even better in the theater because I think the cinematography and John M. Chu's direction is just lush, very lush, and the colors are great. They make New York another character, or Washington Heights rather, another character in the movie. So the spectacle is there for you to see, just like if you had gone to Broadway to see it, which is in essence that version of a theatrical experience, going to Broadway to see how they use the stage. When you go into a theater, you're essentially doing the same thing, and you're seeing it as big as possible. It certainly takes advantage of that experience for sure, but seeing it at home is just as powerful. I mean, look, the first time I saw Singing in the Rain was on TCM or one of those channels, or on VHS. So like the experience of watching musicals on a small screen, there's you can still embrace them and cherish them and love them as much as if you went to the theater. All the theater does is accentuate what you're already experiencing, right? I saw Lawrence of Arabia for the first time on TV. Then I went and saw it when they did the 4K reissue, and it was a completely different experience, but my joy for it stayed the same.
I'm sure the intimacy of In the Heights also, does fit well at home.
Certainly.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, one thing that I remembered, I think it was John Chu who posted a video from inside the theater.
Yeah.
Right. People were singing and dancing, and you would think that this was like the movie event of the year, and everyone was so glad to be back in theaters after the pandemic. But the truth is that the reception and the performance at the box office was much more muted than that.
Yeah.
So it only made around 11 million, and there was just a lot of box office discourse, maybe because we haven't really had a chance to talk about box office for the last year, but it really just brought out everyone trying to come up with these different reasons as to why it underperformed. You know, like, what is your take on it? I think that HBO Max obviously hurt the theatrical performance, but at the same time, if only 700,000 people watched it on HBO Max, which was the estimate, that's only roughly $7 million. So maybe it would have opened to 18 if it didn't go day and date.
Right. And maybe, right? And you look at that situation, you go, okay, the 11 million, 18 still would have considered lower than the expectations, which were 20 million, even if it did that. But the fact that it only did 700,000 views on HBO Max also speaks to what happened here. Like, the question is, why are people going to see Godzilla versus Kong or A Quiet Place, which I think it crossed $100 million in the theater? Why is that more of a draw than a musical like this that really takes advantage of a theatrical experience? So
those are huge spectacle movies, though, where it was.
So is this.
This
is a massive spectacle movie as well. And what's spectacle about A Quiet Place? It's a small, intimate tale with these crazy aliens, sure, but it's a small, intimate story of 4 to 5 people. This has a bigger cast. It's way more of a spectacle than A Quiet Place. I just think what you've got is a horror film and you've got a monster film, and that's going to appeal to more of the quadrants in movie-going public, I'm sure. But in this situation, I think there's a lot of factors. Certainly, we've seen the same takes that we always see. Oh, the marketing was an issue, which I don't understand. They didn't have any stars. Well, there have been plenty of films with no stars that made a lot of money. Who the hell knew who Billy Bob Thornton was till he did Sling Blade? Who the hell knew who Jean Dujardin was until he was in The Artist, Benigni, and Life is Beautiful? Films can't succeed with no stars that Americans don't know. I think it was something that Americans on all sides of the political spectrum, for whatever reason, didn't want to go see a story that was very Latino, very Hispanic, very much about of those people. And I think that's the thing at the end of the day. Look, that's what bothers me overall. The marketing, I've heard from some people, I didn't understand what the movie's about. What do you mean? Do you really understand what a fucking Adam Sandler movie's about? You still go see it, don't you?
I do think that's fair criticism, because what is the hook? Like, what is the story I'm going to see? Okay, I'm going to go see the story of this neighborhood, Washington Heights, but what is the story beyond that? And I don't think that Warner Brothers ever communicated what the story was.
It's for young people who are at the stage in their life where they're experiencing transition as they pursue their dreams. One wanting to build a better life for his future kids and wanting to get the woman of his dreams, the woman of his dreams wanting to pursue being a designer, the other woman coming back from college after having suffered racism at college because she had been in such a cocoon, such a bubble in Washington Heights. She didn't understand how it can be out there with certain powerful white people turning on her. That's part of the story as well. And then you've got Corey Hawkins, who's back here pining for the girl who went to college. She comes back. Can they reunite their love and go forward from there? And also about community. Yeah, right. There's 2 different love stories, and I felt like that was highlighted in the trailer. So I was really surprised about people's complaints about the marketing. And people said there wasn't a villain, and it's like, no, the villain is the systemic racism that Latinos encounter in this country. That is there for you to see throughout. I saw someone commenting to one of our fellow critic friends is like, oh, really? So like the villain is a good credit check? And it's like, yeah, if you're an ignorant person, that's something you would say. Be smarter about how it's being laid down. Be smarter about exploring what's really happening here in these stories. And dude, I'm blown away by people not wanting to go and explore these stories. And I come back to a part of this being racism. We see Latinos constantly being vilified as taking your jobs, the border crisis. It is in the news all the time, right? A lot of people make fun of my people who are standing outside the Home Depot because they need to work to pay bills or to feed their family. So they'll go build something at a house. They'll go take cash under the table. We talk about them being illegals. Like, there's all kinds of stuff where there's insulting narratives about Latinos, and that bleeds through into conservative circles, but also into liberal circles. Please don't think that liberals are somehow immune to racism or immune to not wanting to go see a Latino film. They'll give it all the lip service in the world, but they actually won't put their money where their mouth is. And this is where I saw, 80 million people voted for Joe Biden, but we can't get more than $11 million to go see these Latino experience. Like, it's just confusing to me on so many levels. And I appreciate everyone's takes. I just don't think you can remove racism from part of those takes.
Let me ask you, do you think that the release date played into it, or the running time? You know, I know Justin Kroll sort of said, well, you know, the release date, you don't release a movie like this in the summer. People have been cooped up in their homes for the last year. They want to be outside. Now it's beautiful out. Like I did have a hard time this weekend justifying spending 3 hours indoors, you know, or 2.5 hours watching this, you know, indoors, when it's beautiful outside. I didn't feel like I didn't watch it, because there's Latinos in it. It was because, you know, musicals aren't my favorite genre, and this is really long.
That's a different, right? That's a different argument. And I haven't seen that too powerfully pushed by a lot of people. Oh, musicals, because you could say, well, Greatest Showman made $450 million. So clearly there's a market for musicals. And yes, it was released in the fall.
Right.
But
and I know Mamma Mia came out in the summer.
Right.
There's plenty of musicals that have been successful that came out in the summer, Moulin Rouge, but at the same time, after being in their homes for the last year, do people really want to stay in and watch a movie on HBO Max? You know, I do wonder if the date hurt it.
Well, it possibly, you know, we have to look at more analytics because we're still within the first week. We don't even know if this thing might have Greatest Showman legs. Right. I don't believe it will, because I think there is just this thing that people do not want to go see a Latin experience. I'm telling you, that's what I think is a lot of people don't want to say it out loud, but they might be whispering to themselves in their heads as to why they don't go see this movie. And I think that's a part of it. But yes, the release date might factor into this, but think about it. It's a summer musical because it occurs in summer. And a lot of the film is outside in the summer when people could come near each other. People don't have to wear masks. People are dancing with each other. It's about re-embracing, reconnecting with your community, but also reconnecting with the people around you. So many people on social media, Jeff, are posting about, oh, finally got to go to a group dinner, finally got to a bar, finally got to go all these things. That's all happening in the movie. So why wouldn't you connect to seeing people coming back to their community, re-embracing their, being around their community, celebrating their community, going to do things with fellow members of their community? It's confusing to me.
I think that the movie is up against those experiences, though. It's up against people like, I just want to go see my friends again who I haven't seen in so long, or I just want to go back to a restaurant. And I do think that is sort of you know, one of the things that was battling. We're not going to spend the whole episode on In the Heights, but I did want to ask, you know, it's hard to avoid, and it's not my place to speak to it, but, you know, you obviously can, is the colorism conversations. And we had a lot of, I believe it's Afro-Latinos disappointed that they weren't really reflected in the movie, because I guess Washington Heights now is currently sort of an Afro-Latino dominated neighborhood. Rita Moreno came out and defended, you know, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Then she walked back her comments recently. Like, what do you make of the whole situation?
I think it absolutely is a valid criticism of the film, especially from people who live in Washington Heights, who are currently in Washington Heights or experienced growing up in Washington Heights. And it's a valid thing. If you remember way back when on Collider Live, one of the things Roxy and I went back and forth about was when they released the images of the actors that are going to be in West Side Story with Steven Spielberg. And my first complaint was they whitened those Latino actors in that first shot. They look much lighter skinned, you know, like me, a little more of a whiter looking Latino. You see that going on, even though I'm full-blooded Bolivian, you see that going on in those pictures. And so the complaints, I think, are absolutely valid. Now, my feeling about this is, let us break through the ceiling first with at least one successful movie that will open the door for more representation, more people of color within our Latin community to be a part of the conversation and a part of the narrative, to have our stories being told more and more prominently. Look, we have to understand also, like, the Black experience in terms of film, that's been going on for a number of decades. And now it took the Black Lives Matter movement. It took Hollywood finally waking up to open the door to cast more people of color, especially more different shades of people in the Black community, just as it will happen when we start to open the doors to more Latinos being cast in things, opening doors to different shades of Latinos being in these movies and their stories being told. So I think the criticism is valid, but don't not go see the film because of that. And another thing I'll clue you into as a Latino, Jeff, and this is something that I've said on a couple of shows already this week, is don't discount the racism within our own community. Latinos turn on other Latinos all the time. Latinos of darker versus lighter skin versus darker skin, medium skin. It's all there, depending on what country are you from. Sometimes people are biased towards other people, other Latinos from a different country because they're not from their country or their continent. That happens within our community. It's caused fractures and divisions for years, and that could have been part of what was contributing to the box office, where Latinos only went, I think in one New York theater, the ticket sales were only 40% Latino, and when it should have been much higher, or they expected it to be much higher. And so these complaints that are coming out are valid complaints, and Rita, thank God, who is an icon and a queen, her walking it back, I think, was a really smart move. But Lin-Manuel Miranda said, I'm listening, and you're right, and I will do better next time. John M. Chu, same thing. And, he suffered some criticism for Crazy Rich Asians for this. I think it was South Asians or Southeast Asians that weren't represented correctly. So this is great that we're having these conversations, though, Jeff. I think it's good to have these conversations, but I don't think these products that are showcasing our communities for the first time, getting big Hollywood pushes, which we haven't seen before, should be getting vilified before they even get out of the starting gate by our own people. Let it breathe a little bit, and let's push to tell the stories. People are listening now. People are hearing these things. Okay, great. Next time we're going to focus on casting people of darker color. People are going to make that representation there. That's a positive. I just don't think the things that break the ceiling should be destroyed before they give us a chance to put people of color or darker colors in these movies.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was very well said, better than I ever certainly could have put it. So thank you, John. And now I think it's probably time to move off the Heights. Let's talk about, the other big issue of the week, which is, does Batman eat pussy? I cannot believe that those quotes even made it into Variety. Oh my goodness.
I mean, we've seen so many examples, Jeff, of DC and Warner Brothers. I don't know what's going on over there half the time, and you wonder because how does this leak? How does this get out there to put egg on the face of Warner? And by the way, they should have just said yes to it, because it would have been one scene, one quick few second scene in one of these episodes, and people would have walked right past it, maybe commented on it in a playful way. But now it's become a whole thing, and it's taken on a life of its own, because we talked about it yesterday on our Geek Buddies show, which is out for you to watch there, plug. But we talked about a Geek Buddies show, Batman was having sex with Batgirl on the roof of a building at the beginning of Killing Joke, the animated film, and that's the daughter of his friend Jim Gordon that he's having sex with on the roof. So to me, I'm like, that's okay, but I think it comes down to the alpha thing, the male thing. If Catwoman was going down on Batman, I don't think they'd have an issue with it. But the fact that Batman is going down and they see Batman in a submissive position to Catwoman, I think the old male toxicity stereotypes started popping up. That's what I think it was. The male executive was like, no, we can't have that, blah, blah, blah. And
we definitely don't see enough male on female oral sex in movies. That is just completely overlooked. And
it never happens. Yeah.
I just thought it was a very funny, kind of interesting discourse, and I couldn't believe that it stemmed from a Variety article of all places that quote got in. All right, I wanted to talk a little bit about a big test screening that happened this week. I'm going to avoid, major spoilers, but we're going to dance around it just a little bit. So if you're weary of spoilers, come back in just, I would say, 4 to 4 minutes or so. Okay. But Matrix Resurrections screened this week. That is supposedly the title. That's been rumored to be the title for quite some time, but apparently that was the title that appeared on screen. And apparently it's very, very meta. So, without getting into too much stuff, I heard that we see Neo go to a movie theater and see the Matrix is screening. So there's a lot of talk about. There's a lot of meta commentary about sequels, spin-offs, and Warner Brothers is mentioned in the movie. I heard that there's a line Warner Brothers is going to do this with or without you, so you might as well get on board, which may have been what they said to the Wachowskis, to Wachowski. Listen, we have this Matrix IP. We want to exploit it, right? People love the Matrix. We're going to do this. So you're either going to be in or we're going to do without you. And maybe Lana's I can't have someone else, fucking with what I created. But it just sounds, very, very meta. Like, are you looking forward to this movie? What is your take on the Matrix 4?
You know, Jeff, you and I are sports fans. If someone is 1 and 2, do you really have a lot of faith that they're going to get to 500? You don't know. The odds are more that they're going to lose the next game than they're going to win the next game. So, especially if you're a Sixers fan. But I'm looking at this situation here and I'm like, this is one of the Wachowskis coming back, and certainly they have an opportunity to do something really incredible here. But hearing you describe it and whatever, it brings back my concerns and my fears after experiencing Reloaded and Revolutions and being supremely disappointed with the both of them pissing away what was a great iconic sci-fi movie from 1999. So this, as you describe it, and I'm not seeing this in context or whatever, but my initial reactions to what you're saying make me very much not want to go see the film, not want to experience it, unless this is a very intelligent commentary about the meta stuff that they're bringing up. But I think we all bristle at the idea of going in and seeing someone mention the studio that's actually doing the film. That seems a little weird. I don't know if Disney's ever mentioned themselves in any of the movies they've ever made, so it just seems like a weird decision. And again, out of context, it seems like a weird decision.
Yeah,
I want it to be good. Yeah. I want it to be good. I'm excited for it to be, but this doesn't sound exciting.
I would love to see this franchise redeem itself to some extent, because I think you're right that there are some incredible action sequences in those Matrix sequels, but story-wise, they just kind of felt like a mess. So this is a chance to kind of do some course correction. I really do like the cast that they put together for this. We'll see how that approach sort of factors into things and what they're ultimately trying to say with this new movie.
Yeah, this sounds like Tron Legacy. This sounds a little bit like Tron Legacy, and that makes me hesitant for sure.
I don't know. I heard it's set, I don't know, like 50 years after the last movie or something, and the Trinity looks the exact same. That Neo's looking a little bit more his age. Speaking of Matrix Resurrections, actress Jessica Henwick, who is in the movie, she joined Knives Out 2 this week. Were you? She was on Iron Fist, right?
Oh yeah.
Were you an Iron Fist guy? Did you watch that or no?
I hated that show. Yeah, I watched that show. Because you got to get through it. But I'm a big Iron Fist guy in terms of the comics, so that's why I watched it. See if there was connective tissues there. But yeah.
Are you looking forward to Knives Out too?
Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to Knives Out too. I love that first film. But I'm curious to see, going down the Netflix path, what this is going to look like. If this will be different, because they're spending a lot of money and they're bringing in all these actors. Yeah. Jeff, you wonder, it's a little bit of overkill, right? There's like 75 people of note in the cast. People were already worried about Dune, and Dune has like 15 to 20 people of note. Now you're adding like all these people. Will they have enough opportunities to really shine or showcase their talents in this movie? Who knows? But I like it. It's a good addition for sure.
I just want them to have a good story. I mean, he can get hung up on casting all day, but if you don't have a good mystery at the end of the day, who gives a shit who's in it?
Yeah, exactly.
Julia Butters, who was so great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she landed a big role in Steven Spielberg's new movie.
Yeah,
she's gonna be playing a character based on his sister. Our thoughts on because this is like her first kind of big thing since that Tarantino movie. Did she wait for the right one?
Possibly. I like Julia Butters. I think she was great in that movie. I think campaigned on certain shows for her to be nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Yeah. That scene with her and with Leonardo DiCaprio, to have that kind of confidence at such a young age to go toe to toe with DiCaprio is incredible. So I like this idea of her stepping into this film and stepping into this role. Let's see what she can do with it. This is a young talent that I think is got Paquin level type of a future here, possibly an Oscar.
Paquin.
I'm just saying, she won an Oscar at such a young age. I think Butters absolutely has this potential, even like Haley Steinfeld did when in True Grit. People were like, "Whoa, what's there to come here?" And so I think Butters definitely has the potential to be in contention for awards down the road. An American Florence Pugh, maybe. Yeah.
Perhaps. I remember I was like advocating her to be cast as the lead in the Firestarter remake. I think she probably held out for something a little.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, a couple of Oscar winners, starring in May December, which is from Todd Haynes, who's worked with Julianne Moore a bunch of times, and it's like, I think Natalie Portman is like an actress, right, who goes off to study the woman who she's going to be playing in a movie, and kind of their lives collide. Love this pairing on paper. Are you a Todd Haynes guy though?
Yeah, he's an interesting cat. I remember Safe being, when that came out, I think that's Haynes, and
Yep.
seeing what him and Julianne Moore did with that. And then, yeah, I've enjoyed his stuff. This is an interesting pairing, but this sounds similar to another movie that I think Julianne Moore was in, and I can't remember the name of it right now, where like she's like mirroring, or she's the actress being studied by someone else. So I don't know, it feels weird. And she's like she's the daughter of a really famous person, and she's trying to kind of figure out her life, and this woman comes in to try to guide her through this. I cannot remember this movie, so it has a little bit of similarities to that. I don't remember the movie itself. I apologize offhand.
It is a good pairing on paper, but maybe not as good as this pairing that was announced this week. Jack Black in talks to join Ice Cube in a movie called Oh Hell No. And they kept the logline under wraps on Deadline, but a Hollywood Reporter let it spill, where basically Jack Black is going to fall in love with Ice Cube's mother.
Whoa!
Ice Cube's 51. So that means that it's Jack Black falling in love with like a 70-year-old black woman. And you can just see Ice Cube at the end of that trailer being like, oh, hell no. Like, I kind of just love it based on that setup alone.
Yeah, I mean, this called May December as well? Because I think it would fit. I think it would fit. I'm 1,000% on board with this. This sounds like a lot of fun, and Ice Cube has been such an interesting interesting person in creating his characters, and an interesting person as he's been out and about in the world and creating the content that he does. So this sounds like a lot of fun. And remember, it was Jonah Hill dating his daughter in Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. Right. So now it's Jack Black dating his mom. And I like this idea, right? A white guy dating an older black woman. Let's see what we can explore here that has some resonance in terms of heart, but also some funny comedic moments that you could play out that are sensitive to the situation. So yeah, this sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like Jack Black. Kristen Wiig doing The Husbands, which is like a Stepford Wives type of thing, where she's like house hunting with her husband, and she meets like this group of powerful women, and they seem to have it all. And it sounds like it's because their husbands are something's up with the husbands. You think that sounds like a good project for her?
Sounds like if they play it for comedy, it sounds like a very funny situation for sure. And this is where she thrives best, I think, as an actress, is when she is a person who's walking into a situation and has no idea what is happening, or is trying to figure it out and navigate it. In Bridesmaids, it was really funny seeing her life changing all around her and having her like figure out how to transition into that and leading to all these great comedic moments. I think the same thing here. You can almost see the Kristen Wiig standard stuff where she does the weird kind of thing and reacts to everything happening. So if it's a comedy, I think this is brilliant. This is where she functions best. And anything to wash the taste out of Wonder Woman 84, I'm 1,000% for, man.
Yeah, me too. All right, we got a bunch of just like quick bullets. There are a lot of canned projects and things like that. So we'll just give our sort of quick reactions. Women Talking, which is Sarah Polley's new movie with Frances McDormand, added Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, Jessie Buckley, and Ben Whishaw. I mean, I think Jessie Buckley is one of the best actresses of her generation. They got two Lisbeth Salanders now in this movie, between Rooney Mara and Claire Foy. And this is about like a very kind of like religious community where the men have been abusing the women, and now the women are finally talking about it. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I just recently watched Away From Her again, that incredible Sarah Polley film with Julie Christie about Alzheimer's. Just a powerful film that she was able to do. So her stepping into this situation, now exploring a little more of this religion side of things, I think is great. It's got it feels a little bit like Handmaid's Tale, a little bit like Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, that kind of that little vibe of exploring a religion or a cult, whatever you want to say, where the men are the dominant part of that situation, and they usually are in these cults and these religions. They usually are. So, and it's a great cast. And you're right about Jessie Buckley. She was the best part of the most recent season of Fargo.
Who's your favorite among those three? Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, Jessie Buckley.
Ooh. Well, I guess I'd have to say Claire Foy, but Jessie Buckley excites me more. But I've enjoyed more of Claire Foy's work. That's what I would say.
Then you watch The Crown.
Yes, I love The Crown. She's great in The Crown, and I liked her in First Man as well. Yeah.
Brad Pitt is producing Women Talking. He's also producing Kelly Reichardt's new movie Showing Up that added Hong Chow, Andre Benjamin, Jed Hirsch, John Magaro, James LaGrosse, joining Michelle Williams. Are you a Kelly Reichardt person?
I don't. Can you remind me what film she?
Wendy and Lucy and Meek's Cutoff, and I didn't see.
Oh yes, Meek's Cutoff.
I didn't see First Cow.
I did not see First Cow either. Now a lot of people said it was good, but then I had some of my friends who said it was boring as hell, so I haven't seen it. But I will give it a chance at some point. She's also, how can I say this? She is a filmmaker who takes her time in the things she is telling you. Meek's Cutoff was a very challenging Western to watch because not a lot happens, yet a lot is happening. You've just got to be patient as it comes to its conclusion. And I thought Michelle Williams did a fantastic job in that movie.
Dakota Johnson replacing Daisy Ridley in Daddy-O opposite Sean Penn. Is this an upgrade?
Yeah, what happened there? Daisy
was attached to a whole bunch of indie projects after Star Wars, and none of them really moved forward. She's doing The Marsh King's Daughter now, which just added like Brooklyn Prince. But I personally think Dakota Johnson is an upgrade over Daisy Ridley. I just haven't seen anything from Daisy Ridley that suggests like a sort of long career. But
sure, I like Dakota. But I want to see more with Daisy, man. I think she was great in that sequel series, but she's made some interesting choices since. I mean, no one was crowing about Chaos Walking, and she needs a hit, man. She needs something big.
Weird choices.
It's weird. And so she has a sensibility that's more independent film minded. That's for sure. But I think she needs a film to break out in, man. People can wash that Star Wars memory away and just focus on Daisy Ridley, who I think is a damn good and solid actress, a very confident actress as well. But yeah, Dakota's a nice replacement. I don't know if it's an upgrade, but it's certainly a good replacement.
Marsh King's Daughter does sound good. I think that's Daisy and Ben Mendelsohn. Ewan and Sam Heughan doing an Everest movie. Ewan and Heughan. Do we need another Everest movie from Doug Liman? This project's been around forever.
I don't know. We need another Everest. I mean, how many more times? I don't know, man. We've seen so many Everest movies between documentaries and actual and theatrical films. I don't think we need another Everest. I'm not clamoring to see another Everest movie.
Something I do love about the mountain climbing genre, though. Like survival.
That's quietly an interesting genre. That's like K2 is one of the best films in that genre as well. If you haven't seen that 80s film, K2 is fantastic. Even the one Into Thin Air, the TV movie they did of Krakauer's book, I think was a good film to watch as well. But I don't know if I'm clamoring to go back. There are other mountains in the world, for God's sakes.
Ewan's hot right now, though. Ewan, I mean, he's a good get for that project.
Sure.
J-Lo.
And I like Doug Liman.
J-Lo starring in Atlas, Netflix sci-fi thriller about a rogue AI. So it's like, there's this AI who has decided that if we want to end wars, we might as well just we have to end humanity. That's the only way war is going to end. And so J-Lo teams up with the thing she hates most, a rogue AI. It sounds very T2 to me.
Yeah, T2, I Am Legend. Oh, sorry, not I Am Legend. I Am Robot.
Yeah.
Or iRobot, sorry. Well, apparently you can accept both.
Throw down controversy.
No, but iRobot, same thing, right? He teams up with that AI Will Smith does to go and find out what's actually going on. But we've seen this all the time where AI always figures out, well, I've got to erase humanity. Age of Ultron said the same thing. I got to erase humanity to save it from itself because they're imperfect things. Nothing about this makes it feel like it's going to be a hit, man. J-Lo combined with Netflix combined with sci-fi does not make me excited.
It just sounds like a Netflix movie to me, which is not like a necessarily a good thing.
Do not spend $150 million on this movie. You will not see it again. Trust me. Do not spend it.
Michael Pena joining Owen Wilson in Secret Headquarters. Are you liking Owen Wilson in Loki?
Oh, dude. It's, the greatest thing about people who are veterans of Hollywood is when they go away after stuff that they've experienced or things they're going through in their own life. When they come back again, you get to fall back in love with what made them great, and you see it from a different point of view. Owen Wilson is older now, but the stuff he's doing in Loki, maybe some of his most confident work you've ever seen. He is no perfect. His timing with him and Hiddleston is stellar, especially the second episode. The scenes between them in the lunchroom, just stellar writing and stellar acting from both. So I'm glad to see Owen kind of coming back, because, people had started making fun of the wow thing, and he was kind of repeating himself with some of his movies. And of course, he suffered the stuff he suffered, his own mental health kind of breakdown. So it's great to see him coming back and being a part of our media again. It's great.
Yeah, I always liked Owen Wilson. Always had a soft spot for him. Enjoying him on Loki, and I think that Paramount has high hopes for the Secret Headquarters project, which Bruckheimer's producing. I really like Michael Pena too, so that could be fun. Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne getting back together for The Holdovers. Thought that was an interesting reunion. I know Alexander Payne has dealt with some stuff on his own, like with Rose McGowan and all that.
Oh yeah.
Now he's sort of resurfacing in the indie world after his last studio movie Downsizing flopped.
Oof.
I like that though, turning to an old friend in Paul Giamatti and being like, let's go just make like a real movie again.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you got to do to kind of reconnect to everything and rediscover the joy of doing what you did, what got you into it. Certain Giamatti's just a stellar actor, man. And as much as he's used, he's still never used enough. He's just
You're
so
a big
damn
Sideways
good.
guy, right?
Who? What?
You're
Yeah, Sideways. I love Sideways. Yeah, absolutely. Great film. Good one to, and that's hard. You want to feel old. That was 17 years ago, that movie. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Saoirse Ronan, Lakeith Stanfield, and Paul Mescal doing Garth David's sci-fi thriller Foe. Garth Davis. Cynthia Erivo starring in a remake of Bette Midler's The Rose. Did you ever see The Rose? I never.
Yeah, 1979, The Rose, fantastic film.
That good. Look at you pulling release dates. Is that a good recasting, Cynthia Erivo?
I like the idea of Cynthia Erivo being a part of this. She's a powerfully strong actress, so to see her stepping in to show what this story would be like from the Black experience, I think is great. A singer experiencing what she might be singing, the breakdown she's having. And for those of you who know the end of The Rose, it will be interesting to see if they stay with the same ending or adjust it, considering the actress they've got, and also the fact that it's 2021. So I'm curious, but I'm looking forward to it. And we just saw Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. We got a black singer experiencing a female singer experiencing what she's experiencing. We've seen these ladies sing the blues with Diana Ross. So we've seen how it can be to experience being super famous as a black female singer. So what will this project bring while also being faithful to the original? I'm curious.
Me too. Me as well. My boy Chris Lowell, who I've known since he was in college, joined How I Met Your Father, the TV show. Happy for Chris on that one. STX sold off its Kristen Bell comedy Queen Pins to Paramount and Showtime for $20 million. Thought that was kind of interesting. I wonder how much that movie cost. Maybe it was like 8 to 12, and so STX gets a little, 10 to 12 million dollar profit or whatever. Off to Paramount Plus. This story I'm posting right at the end of this podcast, John. Ooh. So by the time it goes online, or this podcast goes up, this story will be making the rounds. But Hiroyuki Sanada is going to be joining John Wick 4.
Yes.
And we also reported that Lawrence Fishburne is going to be back. I imagine we'll get a sort of full. A fuller idea of who's in this movie and who's coming back. Are you pumped for John Wick 4, and are you excited Hiroyuki Sanada in the cast now?
First of all, of all the Keanu Reeves franchises, the fourth installment of this one is the one that excites me more than Matrix 4. And even if they announced a Bill and Ted 4, this would still excite me the most. I think they found their feet again in John Wick 3. John Wick 2 was okay. John Wick 3 really found their feet again, Equilibrium, and then or Parabellum rather. Now we go into 4. And I like Sanada. I've liked Sanada since Last Samurai. That's when I first discovered him as an actor, and then went back and watched all these other films with him. And of course, him being recently in Mortal Kombat, one of the best parts of Mortal Kombat. That's been fantastic. So to see him stepping in, is he going to be, I guess, a main villain? because he's in his 60s, man. He can only do so much of that fighting stuff. Then again, Liam Neeson's doing it into his 70s, so I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, I like him being a part of this. It'll add some weight and some gravitas to a John Wick 4 that I look forward to.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. So I believe what happened with this, he's going to be playing this character Watanabe. And so I think Frosty was actually interviewing Lawrence Fishburne and asking him if he was going to be back as John in John Wick 4.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne was like, well, it's really about the relationship between John Wick and Watanabe. And so we thought that he may have been talking about Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
Watanabe,
Yeah.
And then we were like, no, wait, he's talking about a character, not an actor. Like it's not Ken. Anyways, we got that figured out. We had a few more news stories real quick before the reviews and trailers part of the show. My girl Gina Rodriguez directing a boxing movie about a Mexican-American boxer with mental health struggles, Ryan Garcia. Have you heard of him?
No, I have not. So I'm curious. I read this the other day that she was doing this, so I'm excited to see this come about. And certainly, Gina, people come after Gina sometimes, but she just keeps pushing forward and doing her thing. She's a force to be reckoned with, and God love her. And yes, has she made a couple of missteps? Certainly, but she's always quick to apologize. She's always quick to own it. She's always quick to learn from it and become better. So shout out to her. She's fantastic.
I love her. Gina's a good girl. But yes. Did you see that new Netflix movie of hers?
I have not yet. Awake? I haven't seen it yet. It's not good. Yeah. So if it doesn't hit my peripheral vision in terms of attention, then I know it's not a good movie. Go ahead. Yeah.
Moses Ingram, who's going to be in the new Macbeth movie, she was cast as Whitney Houston's assistant in I Want to Dance with Somebody. I think that could be a big role for her. I mean, I don't know. It's a project that I'm going to run out to see, but I know a lot of people are interested in Whitney Houston and the story surrounding her death.
Yeah,
she's a real up-and-coming black actress.
Yeah,
Dustin Hoffman and Sissy Spacek doing this project, Sam and Kate. I just wanted to talk about, I'm just kind of relieved that Dustin Hoffman has not been canceled because it seemed like he was canceled there for a little while. And I know he was a cad back in the day. I mean, that's sort of the way that stars behave, but I'm glad that he is getting another chance, even if it's just, doing a little indie movie with Sissy Spacek.
Yeah. And he kind of thrives in these. Remember Last Chance Harvey? He was really good in Last Chance Harvey.
Emma Thompson?
Yeah, him and Emma Thompson, really great stuff. When he acts with people of his generation or his age or around he really brings some nice levels and colors to the work he does. So this is exciting. And I love Sissy in Old Man and the Gun. Her and Robert Redford, great chemistry as well, contemporaries. So yeah, why not? Let's make it happen.
Robert Duvall joins The Pale Blue Eye with Christian Bale and Harry Melling. Harry Melling is going to be playing Edgar Allan Poe. Robert Duvall had already worked with Scott Cooper on, which one was it? Crazy Heart.
Yeah, Crazy Heart. Right. Playing Jeff Bridges' dad. Right.
Zoe Kravitz making her directorial debut with Pussy Island, starring Channing Tatum. Sorry. I don't know if that title will end up changing.
I think Batman and Catwoman need to be on that movie.
Yeah, Catwoman. It's been a big week for Catwoman and Pussy. Okay, one thing I want to ask you about what did you think of that animated Heat scene?
That was great. Oh my God. Did they tweet at you too? That thing was great. Please do the whole movie like that. I would love to see a Disney animated version of Heat. I would go to the theater and pay money to see that.
Do you think we could see animated R-rated movies like that?
Where they transfer them into
the way that they do an R-rated sausage party comedy? Could we see a crime movie that's animated?
Yes, let's do it. I would absolutely. Why not? We're expanding our ideas of what's possible now, and people have had time to be alone with their thoughts for 18 months now, Jeff. Maybe there's some great creativity that's going to come from that, and certainly an R-rated animated action film I think would be badass. Why not? We've seen them. I mean, Heavy Metal was 1980. That you could argue there's some action in that. That's an R-rated film. Why not?
I like Heavy Metal a lot. I thought it was a very cool test, and with the Heat stuff, and I don't know. I'd like to see more scenes done like that. I wish that there was an app where we could sort of do that ourselves.
That's coming. Trust me. Like everything else, it's always quick. The app is probably right behind it. Yeah.
There was a lot of talk this week about this this New Zealand project, They Are Us, about the New Zealand massacre with attacks in Muslim mosques. It's from
Right.
Andrew Niccol, and people were worried that it was going to be a white savior movie about the New Zealand Prime Minister. But I think that they just needed. I think it was Rose Byrne was cast as her, and so people sort of made it out to be like, oh, this movie's about her, when really she's just a sort of character among the ensemble.
Right. And you cast some. No, you cast someone like that to get eyes on the film, right? You cast someone like Rose Byrne to get attention to the film. And that prime minister certainly has been an incredible prime minister in dealing with guns and dealing with the COVID situation. Incredible to keep her nation going forward. My girlfriend lived in New Zealand for 2 years. She loves that country. So, and was very broken up by the tragedy that happened there as well. So you look at that, you're like, okay, we're going to explore that. Andrew Niccol's a great director to step into take this task on. Now you start to look at, are you going to cast New Zealand actors who are going to be part of this? Cliff Curtis, I think isn't Cliff Curtis a New Zealand or something? He's a great actor that you could slide into there.
I mean, there are a lot of people,
Tamora Morrison, Rachel House. Okay. Let's go. Let's bring those in. Yeah.
There were some people saying it was too soon, and I understand those complaints. I think there are a lot of projects, whether it's some of the 9/11 stuff or even the Boston Marathon stuff. This is kind of too soon. Like, what is the goal of this project and the point of making it? But I also, I think Deadline sort of closed its story with this line, like, Andrew Niccol is a New Zealand filmmaker. He has this story belongs to all New Zealanders, and he has every right to tell this story. Yeah. But I get those initial concerns about the white savior narrative.
Of course.
Harvey Weinstein sent back to LA to face charges. Good. Let this guy pay for everything he's fucking done.
Did you see the video? Oh, it's fantastic.
No,
head and hands. He went. They released a video of him reacting to it. Head completely in hands.
I love it.
Done, son.
Give him the perp walk.
Yeah.
God's Favorite India. That's the Melissa McCarthy show that she was doing with Ben Falcone that they sort of said was shut down. It wasn't really that big a deal. Netflix just decided to do one season at a time rather than shoot all 16 episodes at once. Maybe they didn't like what they were seeing after that first season, and maybe they're going to pull the plug. Maybe they're just going to shoot it cheaper somewhere else. I don't know. But
I think Jupiter's Legacy woke a lot of people up over at Netflix about the money they're spending on these TV series. And if anyone can cite me the last good Melissa McCarthy, Ben Falcone co-production, I'll give you $100.
Did you see Thunder Force?
Oh, man.
I didn't think it was as bad as that. I didn't think it was terrible. I did like Jason Bateman.
Yeah, well, Bateman's always good. The Lobster Hands, that shit was funny. But they don't make good movies. I think they did Spy. Spy was good, but I think that's basically the last thing I enjoyed from them.
There's a new dating show that Nikki Glazer's hosting for HBO Max called F-Boy Island. This sounds wild, where it's like half the guys are nice guys and half the guys are fuckboys. And sign me up. Like, I think I would watch that. And word on the street was that Nikki Glazer actually slept with one of the fuckboys during production.
That woman lives her truth, man. You can't deny her truth.
I think she's hilarious.
I do too.
I always liked her. I like her a little bit more than like Whitney Cummings and some of the other.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, Nikki's very funny. Do you watch Clarice?
I have not. No. I don't know. I just don't.
It's not. It's
talk
not
to me.
Good. It's not very good. But I thought that the Clarice situation that was in the news this week was very, very interesting, because they said that we're moving it off CBS. We're going to put it on Paramount Plus, which is like, I don't understand that. Considering like the license fee, like I'm sure it's not an inexpensive show to produce, and so why just bury it on a streaming service that nobody really has? And then sure enough, negotiations broke down, and it looks like the show will not be back. I don't know if this is because like MGM wasn't negotiating in good faith, or MGM just signed the deal with Amazon, so maybe Amazon's like, we would love to do something with Silence of the Lambs, but you got to get rid of this Clarice show because it's like fucking up everything. I feel like there's more to that whole situation. I hope it does come out.
What's the need to do this again? No one's ever going to top Jodie Foster. You're just chasing the fucking dragon constantly with this thing. No one wants to see
IP, and people just need to exploit it.
Yeah, but it's not good IP to exploit because people don't come in the same numbers that they came to Silence of the Lambs. They don't, and they never will, because you're never going to recapture it till you bring Jodie Foster back. Until you bring Jodie Foster back to play Clarice Starling again as an older FBI agent, you're never going to get the numbers back again that you had before. It's a waste of time, waste of money, in my opinion.
We got about 10 minutes left in the show. Okay. Elijah Wood joined the Toxic Avenger reboot. He's got that Macon Blair connection. They did that Sundance movie together. Are you a Toxic Avenger guy?
Yes and no. Like when I was a kid, sure, it was fun, but it doesn't hold the nostalgia for me that it used to in the past. So certainly a great time when I was a teenager watching those on VHS, but I wasn't clamoring for a Toxic Avenger.
I don't know who is. I'm just very surprised that like they're sinking a lot of money, into this. Or
yeah.
Whatever. I got some quotes on Orphan 2, Orphan First Kill. It's a prequel because I interviewed Isabel Furman for The Novice this week. She said that she's making movie history in this, where it's the first time that an adult actress is going to be reprising a role that they played as a child. Do you think is that true? Can you think of any other examples? Because I couldn't, and neither could my colleagues at Collider.
Adult actress reprising a role that they made famous as a child?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're asking? Yeah.
Yes, and like a lead actress.
Yeah, I don't think I can. No, I don't think.
I think she may be right, which is kind of wild. Wow. I like the original Orphan. Did you ever see it?
Yeah. Interesting film. Interesting horror film for sure. Yeah.
John McCall Sarah. He's a madman.
Yep.
I want to give a couple shout outs to the Mandy Patinkin video with him and his wife trying to come up with the name with Christian Bale. Gold. Did you watch that?
I watched all of Patinkin's videos when he posts them.
He's
when
amazing.
He joined social media, it was an immediate follow with him because I've always been a Patinkin fan, so I enjoy that. That was very fun.
I read it yesterday, Huffington Post Kip Kinkle piece. He's like one of the original school shooters. That was fascinating. Guy had never done an interview.
Wow.
If you haven't read that piece, check out Huffington Post on Kip Kinkle. Okay, trailers real quick. Did you see the Shrink Next Door trailer this morning?
No, what was that one?
That's with Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd, the Apple series coming out.
Oh, sweet. No, I haven't seen that trailer.
That looks really good. Okay. There was a trailer. It was not a good week for trailers. Die in a Gunfight with Alexander Daddario and Diego Boneta. They've been trying to make that movie for ages, like since I was a Cub reporter. But it looked like it had some style.
I love Daddario. I wish people would put her in more prestigious stuff. She's a goddamn good actress. Give her better stuff to do. Or she's got to get better representation, man, because there's no reason she should get lost in the mix. She's a good actress.
Did you see the trailer for American Rust? Little teaser with Jeff Daniels yesterday?
Yes, I did see that. Well, I like that. What did you think?
That looked good. That could be like, the next mayor of Easttown or whatever, where he's like a small town Pennsylvania sheriff trying to protect the son of the woman that he loves when there's a murder investigation.
Is he going to do the accent? That's what you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. All right, I'm about to post the John Wick story, and we have like 5 minutes left in the show. Okay, well, why don't you take it away? What do you think of the playoffs this year, the NBA playoffs? Because they've been very entertaining.
Yeah, I love
the championship.
Your best is as good as mine at this point. I have no idea who's going to win this championship. I thought Utah was going to stomp all over the Clippers last night, and all of a sudden, Donovan Mitchell couldn't score to save his life. And this is a team without their star Kawhi Leonard. They allowed Paul George to pull out the alpha card, which he hasn't used in years, and he took over that game. Marcus Morris having 20-something points. That's ridiculous. So to me, I think the Jazz, once again, are being found out here as pretenders, not contenders to the title. I think the Suns were odds-on favorite to win this thing, but now with the CP3 COVID thing, I don't know what's going to happen if he's out for 2 weeks, only for a few days. That being said, if this series goes 7 games, he's got more time to recover. So the Suns are still my odds-on favorite. If Harden can stay healthy, then the Nets start to come back into the conversation. I think the Sixers are finished. And if the Bucks can't wake up from this situation, then they were never really. Giannis is not an alpha dog, and people need to stop saying he's an alpha dog. If they can't take advantage of a crippled Brooklyn Nets team with a bunch of old dudes coming off the bench, come on.
I could not believe something like the Philadelphia collapses.
Yeah,
Trae Young has really impressed me.
Yep, and you said there's the first time. You tweeted the first time a team has lost back-to-back games when they've given up over 20, when they've had over 20-point leads in the games. So
Yep.
incredible.
I want to congratulate Suki Chu on joining Michael Sugar's company, Sugar 23. I want to congratulate Rebecca Ford on joining Vanity Fair. She hasn't even addressed that yet, but that leaked in Matt Bellany's top secret private email newsletter, which I thought was a kind of interesting placement for it. Reviews. Okay, really quick. I saw some Tribeca movies this week. No Man of God. That's Elijah Wood as FBI profiler Big Bill Hagmeyer interviewing Ted Bundy over the last few years of his life. I thought Luke Kirby was actually really good as Ted Bundy. Movie on the whole, kind of, I felt like I'd kind of seen it before.
Yeah.
Did you watch any Tribeca movies?
No, not yet. I haven't seen any of these things. I just didn't apply to be part of press for that because I didn't know what my situation was going to be. Now that I have a clearer idea of what I'm doing on the channel over the last few weeks, now I'm going to start doing more of that kind of stuff, getting my hands on it. I get all the press releases. I made friends with one of the publicists there, so I'm getting the press releases.
Okay, good. The Novice I thought was good. That played like a Whiplash with oars instead of drumsticks. Isabel Furman, cool. Great performance from her. It's just the third act, the climax is kind of poorly directed. So it's kind of tough to tell what's going on there in the water. 7 Days with Geraldine Viswanathan and Karan Soni, who plays Dopinder in the Deadpool movies. That was just like your sort of typical quarantine comedy that was made at the outside of the pandemic. Catch the Fair One was really good. That's executive produced by Darren Aronofsky. It features a boxer out of Providence, a female boxer named Callie Reese, who goes undercover into like the sex trafficking ring to find her missing sister. Thought that was very, very good. I reviewed Dave season 2 for the site. I gave it an A-, so check out my review of Dave season 2 on Collider. Do you watch Dave, Rocha?
I tried on your recommendation, pal. It is not my humor. I could care less. I don't like that dude. I could care less about that dude, and it's just not my humor, man. Yeah, but I respect your opinion, brother.
Are you a Curb Your Enthusiasm guy?
I love Curb Your Enthusiasm.
How can you love Curb and hate Dave?
Because I connect to that guy more than I connect to that schlubby guy on Dave. I connect more to an accomplished, successful man who has his weird proclivities as opposed to a guy who's constantly, I don't know, just irritating on so many levels. For me.
Are you watching Hacks?
Yeah, I loved Hacks. I'm about to do a review for it this weekend.
Okay.
Rewatch the entire series again.
No spoilers.
After it was
I'm halfway through. It's great.
Maybe one of the best first seasons of television I've ever seen. And Hannah Einbinder, she is the daughter of Lorraine Newman, ladies and gentlemen. She comes from good comedy stock. She's incredible in the show as well with Jean Smart.
Yeah, I mean, Jean Smart's fantastic. She could win an Emmy for this.
Yes.
I saw Untitled Horror Movie, which was made by a couple buddies of mine, Nick Simon and Luke Baines, and I love those guys. They're friends of mine, but I got to be honest, and that was not a good movie. It was just not for me. Actors getting bored and doing their own thing on Zoom, but you may like it. If you're looking for like an industry kind of satire. 2 other reviews this week. Did you see Luca?
No, I'm watching that later on today, and I'll be doing my review tomorrow for the channel. Yeah, I got the notice, or I got the screener yesterday, so I'll be watching.
I thought it was very, very good.
Good.
I liked how it started. The middle, I kind of found it dragging. I was like, oh, maybe this isn't like a real top tier Pixar thing. Maybe this is why they sent it to Disney Plus. But the third act, I thought was tremendous, and I was tearing up and crying. And I there is a lot of homoerotic undertones, I would say. It's almost like a coming out story in a sense.
Okay.
But I definitely liked Luca. I liked it more than Soul, quite frankly. And then the other show that I wanted to talk about before we wrap up today is Physical. Have you watched any episodes of this?
No, I haven't, but the trailer looks stellar, and I love Rose Byrne, so I'm definitely if you're saying it's good, I'll give it a shot.
I'm not actually. I'm not saying it's good. So I watched the whole thing, and I would watch new episodes if they came out right now. It's a show that is very watchable.
Okay.
And she's fantastic on the show, but it is a mean-spirited show, particularly if you're an overweight person. It is just her. Just look at this fat fuck, shoveling in, the food into his face. He can't get it in fast enough. I don't know that this is the show that America really needs right now. And then the flip side of it is that everything with her husband, played by Rory Scovel, who is good, that's not the show that I'm watching here. It's a different show, right. and they spend so much time with that character. Hollywood Reporter's review said it best, where it's I've never seen a show spend so much time on less interesting subplots that take away from who we should be watching. So it is a creative miscalculation, which is a shame because there is a lot of potential. And I do love the premise and the setup. That's the perfect time, of women creating this business in the early 80s, workout videos and the rise of VHS. There really was a lot of potential for this, and I don't think it hit the mark, which was frustrating. Okay. Second Apple show in a row to do that with Lacey's Story. Did you try that one?
Yeah, I like the Lacey Story. That was actually good. That was damn good, actually. Yeah.
I stopped after 2 episodes. That was
really
for me. All right, John, I'm about to let you go, but what is the best thing that you've seen this year, movie-wise?
Woo! Best thing I've seen this year?
What?
Good God. Best thing I've seen this. That's a hell of a thing to put me on. No, I have to say A Quiet Place Part 2, man. I mean, so far, actually being in the theater, A Quiet Place Part 2, that's been a stellar experience, and I loved it. I thought Cruella was stellar as well, so I'll stop for Cruella. So those 3, and In the Heights, of course, definitely In the Heights, but those 3 are right now. One more TV show let me throw out there. Bosch is about to come back with its last season. You're
the guy watching Bosch.
Yeah, I watched all 6 seasons over the last 3 weeks with my girlfriend. All 6 seasons.
So yeah, not sure what happened there with the end of the show. We lost John. I'm sorry. But hey, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'm headed out of town. I will see you next week for episode 89 of the Sneider Cut. Until next time, stay safe out there. Bye.